Hello, guitar enthusiasts of every stripe and description. It's Steve, the OG Guitar Nut, and welcome, once again, to Guitar Nuts Anonymous. Your more or less weekly stop for all the news that's important in the great world of guitars. Yeah, that's not entirely true. For all the best reviews. Not necessarily true either. For the most interesting personality on YouTube? Perhaps. Anyway, little housekeeping I want to catch you up on. Our community here, Guitar Nuts Anonymous, we just hit another milestone. We're now at just over 400 subscribers. Still makes us very much a baby channel, but hey, it's something. If 400 people showed up at your house for a barbecue, you'd have an issue, right? So that brings me to a point, and the point is, why am I doing this? There has to be a reason. This is actually work. I mean, you'd never know what to watch, but this actually involves some effort, takes some time, and I certainly have other things to do. And frankly, it's expensive. Just in the interest of keeping your attention, I find myself purchasing things to review and whatnot, and yeah, it adds up, and it's an expensive hobby to have. And I watch a lot of other YouTube channels, or at least listen to them while I'm driving. One of my favorites is the Know Your Gear channel with Phil McKnight, and I watch him on his live stream every Friday, or give or take. Usually I don't catch the stream while it's live. I'll catch the rebroadcast later on, but I took a shot at making what they call a super chat, where you make a small donation to someone's channel and they answer a question for you if you catch them live, which I did this particular week. And I asked Phil, I said, hey, I'm going broke trying to keep my YouTube channel afloat. Any tips? And his biggest tip was, first ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Are you doing it looking for a career? Because if so, write it off. It's probably not going to happen. Fair enough, I'm not looking for a career in this. He said it has to be something you enjoy. That's first and foremost. And I do enjoy doing this. I have a passion for guitars, as you might have gathered from watching this, unless you're brand new, in which case, hi, how you doing? I very much have a passion for guitars. It's all that I've done, give or take, since I was a teenager. I certainly didn't do much else with my life. I mean, I had a family and I raised a wonderful child, and I'm on my second wife, who is amazing. But as far as career aspirations, I never was any kind of a rock star. I do play with a band here in Nashville, Ray Gun. All the alternative hits, what's our tag, 1976 to 86, 77, 87, whatever. You think I could read my own t-shirts, but we've got a couple of different designs. But yeah, I mean, I play music. I have my other interests, but basically, I'm a guitar junkie. You might gather as much from just looking at what's behind me. Speaking of which, fun fact, this rack right here now has a reinforcement tier. The thing collapsed on me last week. In the process of upgrading from gig bags to hard cases, it never occurred to me that my weight would be increasing as well up here, and the whole thing kind of collapsed. So I did a bunch of rearranging and reinforcing, and it's neither here nor there, but I thought you might find that interesting. First world problems, right? But anyway, I do this because I enjoy it. I like talking about guitars. I find it interesting. Like I said, in my spare time, I'm listening and watching other people's YouTube channels. So why am I doing this? Because I enjoy it. But it does get expensive. And, certainly at the 400 subscribers range, it's not like I'm getting any kickbacks or any free gear or anything like that yet. I'm far off from that. So if you see it on here, it's something that I'm purchasing pretty much with my own money. I've had a couple of instances where a few of you have made some donations to the channel to help, which I couldn't appreciate more. And you know who you are, and you're much appreciated. But basically, it's all come out of my own pocket. And yeah, it's caused me to focus on why I'm doing this. And it's just because I enjoy it. And certainly, if any of you want to make, any kind of a financial contribution, you're certainly welcome. We have a Patreon that isn't being used per se, and there's the Rickenbacker Anonymous, the old email at gmail.com, which is still our active email that you can use to make a donation at PayPal. And I will also show the QR code for our Venmo, which I'll just put up here now. If you want to make any kind of a contribution, that'd be great. It's most appreciated. Helps to have more new, fresh content on here. But regardless, I'm doing this because I enjoy it. If I ever stop enjoying it, I'll stop doing it. So enough of that. I just wanted to say shout out to Phil McKnight for the great advice. And yeah, it made me examine why I am doing this, because it's certainly not for the money. Speaking of money, here's a nice segue. We're coming up on Memorial Day. I'm releasing this on Saturday, which I'm terrible with dates. The 27th of May. Coming up on Memorial Day here in the United States. And even though it's not really an appropriate thing to do, everyone seems to have sales on Memorial Day, even though that's not anything near in the spirit of the holiday, but whatever, it is what it is. There are a lot of Memorial Day sales out there, and some that are actually decent, legitimate sales, not your standard Guitar Center sale where they bump up the price of something by 20% and then do a 20% price cut for you for a special, and you wind up paying what you would have paid any other day. Now, like for instance, Sweetwater, not an affiliate, not a sponsor, because we have none of those. They're having some pretty interesting sales, especially on guitar pedals, some of which are going for 50% off, legitimately 50% off. So if you want to take a look, if you're interested in guitar pedals, and other things too, but guitar pedals are the thing that I specifically noticed, go to sweetwater.com. They've got some really great deals right now if you're interested in that sort of thing. Other deals. I found that our friends at Fender Guitars, Fender.com, they are now selling direct to customers in direct competition with their dealers. The upshot of that is they make a lot more money, of course, because they're not selling to a middleman, and you know how this works. But beneficial to us, Fender obviously is going to have availability before any of its dealers do. Like in the case of these new Sonic series guitars that I talked about in our last episode, they've got them all already. Dealers don't have them yet. A few dealers have a few of the models, but Fender has them all, and they're available right now. So you can go to Fender.com, click on the Squire tab, and you can buy any of those models right now and have them shipped to you directly. And they have codes up all over the place for 10% off as well. So those $199 Sonic Series Squires, you're picking up for $179. And also I'd mentioned free shipping. Anything from the Fender store, $50 or more is free shipping. So I picked up one of those Squire Sonic Series. I'm not going to tell you which model, but you can probably guess if you've been watching this show for any amount of time. You know what I'm into. I'm going to be reviewing it here very soon. It should be coming on Tuesday. It'd be here already if not for the holiday, but $179, great price point. So if you're interested in that sort of thing yourself, can't wait for reviews. Just go ahead and head over there. But yeah, I've got one coming, and it gave me an idea for a possible new feature on this show. Again, it's going to require some financial investment on my end to make it happen. but I think it would make for very interesting viewing. And that is sort of a celebrity death match of affordable guitars. Maybe starting with this $199 Squire, and then taking suggestions from you viewers as to what next $200 or less budget guitar I should pick up and review. And starting with the Squire is our instant champion. Put these new guitars up against it and basically do like brackets, competitions, deathmatch, to see what the best $200 or less guitar available is. Perfect for beginners, perfect as a backup, perfect for something to throw in your trunk and take to jam nights. Perfect for just being your go-to knock-around guitar. But there are legitimately, that word's coming up a lot today, $200 guitars that play and sound better than what we could have gotten 20 years ago for double the money. And that's not adjusted for inflation. That's saying they're every bit as good as a guitar that we would have paid $350 or $400 for 20 years ago. And in that money of that time, which translates to roughly double that now. So the point being, there are really great affordable guitars available now. So what I'm thinking is I'd like to get in, now granted, if I did this every week, we'd be looking at something in the neighborhood of an $800 a month investment to keep this up. But it would be real interesting viewing, right? If I was already a big channel with 100,000 subscribers, I'm sure I could get dealers and manufacturers to just send me their $200 guitars to put up in the cage matches here, whatever you want to call them, the death match. But tell me what you think. Is that an interesting idea to you? Would having a celebrity death match where we square $200 guitars off against each other to try to figure out what the best $200 or sub $200 guitar available today is, would that interest you? Let me know. And of course, I expect to start getting recommendations for what some of those guitars might be as well. So, message below. This is a great time to mention, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, share the content around, comment anything you want to say below, good, bad, or ugly, I can take it. And if you want to email, still got the old email, rickenbackeranonymous@gmail.com. I might go ahead and start a new email with the new name and merge them together, but I haven't yet because I'm lazy. But yeah, if you have something to tell me about, by all means, email me. So anyway, that's the idea. Is there anything else I want to talk about before I get to our feature? Oh yes, speaking of Rickenbackers, since that's used to be the focus around here, and it's still a passion of mine. Y'all guys and gals seem to really be interested in these chickenbackers, Rickenfakers, illegitimate Rickenbacker copies and whatnot. And, we didn't have the best of experiences with them on here in the past, but I still look at Alibaba, AliExpress every now and then, and something caught my eye the other day, is I guess what I'm getting at. They're actually doing a knockoff now of the recently released 4005X bass, which this knockoff looks like this. At least that's the picture they're sharing on AliExpress. And as you can see, they're looking at like a $250 plus shipping price point. And they'll customize it in any color you want, with anything you want on the headstock. And seriously considering trying one, even though I've been burned before, rolling the dice again. I just want to know, what do you guys think? I know some of you are very negative on the chickenbacker thing. Some of you are very positive on it. A lot of you are ambivalent. But let me know what you think. Is that something I should look into? I wouldn't mind having a bass to use live. I play bass on several songs with Ray Gun now, so that our bass player Kevin can move over and play piano. And it might be fun to have one of these, assuming it was good and playable and sounded right. And now, granted, chickenbackers usually need to be gutted and all the electronics replaced. So it's basically down to whether or not it's a good playable instrument. I can make it sound like whatever is necessary. So let me know what you think. Is that a good idea? So enough of all that. On to the focus of this episode. 15 minutes in, I'm finally getting down to the point. I know, long-winded, right? So, believe it or not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, trying to convince you to buy a cheap practice amp. Why? Because I talk about the things I'm passionate about and what I like. And I'm smitten with this little amp. And this is the Fender Mustang 1. Very simple little amp. They were $99 when they were new. They're now discontinued. You can probably find them all over your local Craigslist. Certainly we can here in Nashville, but then this is Guitar Town, so maybe it won't be as easy for you depending on your location. But they are out there. I see most of them selling in the $75 range, used. I have 3 of these, and let me explain. When I find something I like, I have a natural inclination to want to buy a second one as a backup. I don't know why. It's just, Tom will understand. Hi, Tom. Hope you're watching this. Tom does the same thing. I know I'm not alone. I once saw an interview with Matthew Sweet where he says as soon as he finds a new guitar he likes, he wants to run out and buy one in every color that's available until he moves on to the next thing he's interested in. It's just something that some of us have. But I picked up one of these Mustang ones in white. It's a limited edition finish for, I think I paid $50 for it on Facebook Marketplace. And the reason I bought it is I wanted to have a second amp to be able to use live, specifically as an effects amp. I want to be able to run 2 amps on stage, one completely clean of effect, just my overdrives and whatever, and distortion, and have either a line out from my main amp to the Mustang or split and do like a pseudo stereo thing. But either way, just use the Mustang for effects. And I chose the Mustang over any other practice amp because it has a bunch of built-in effects. It actually has 8 amp models. It can sound like Fenders, Marshalls, Voxes, even a Roland JC120 type of sound. But then it also has, let's see, 8 amp models, 24 effects maybe, I want to say. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, both modulation effects and ambient effects, meaning your delays and reverbs. And the idea is I can, like I said, I can have the one amp running dry, the other amp with effects, because as much as I love effects, I still want to have a clean sound underneath so I don't lose definition. It's just, it's something I like. And I looked at a few other options. I was actually looking at Fender Super Champ XDs and X2s, because they're tube amps, and I thought that would make for a great sound. And someone suggested to me, I don't even remember who, why don't you just look at a Mustang, since you're only using it for effects. Its primary tone is going to come from the source anyway. You know, your clean amp is more important tone-wise anyhow. So I thought it over, and sure enough, I thought I'd try one. I did. And I love it. It's a great thing. So over the course of the last 3 weeks, I've wound up buying 3 of these things. Do I need 3? Absolutely not. Why did I buy 3? Because I found the second 2 just in the last week for $30 each on Marketplace. At $30, this thing is unbeatable. It's like a Swiss Army knife. What can you use it for? A practice amp? Absolutely. Can you use it in a 2 amp setting? Absolutely. Can you use it for practice, rehearsals with a band? As long as you're not playing metal or have a Keith Moon type drummer that beats the snot out of the drums, you can actually get away with using one of these, for a rehearsal. I've actually used one on stage because they tend to mic our amplifiers and we get most of our sound out of the monitors, so I could use practically anything. Is it loud enough to keep up with a drummer on stage? Probably not. But it's a great little amp. They sound really decent. They've got all these effects, and they've got all these amp models. So yeah, I like them a lot, and so it's as well as that. There are some other applications, but first off, I wanted to just give you some demonstrations as to what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, I don't need to model. You can find reviews of this amp all over YouTube. They've been around for a decade, I think. They've been around a while. But you can find lots of demonstration videos of this amp all over YouTube if you want. So you can hear the models and of the amps, the effects. But I want to show you the ways that I've found to use it, or even them, and what I think is interesting about it and why you might want to get one. And now I should point out, it doesn't have to be this amp. There are other amps out there from Line 6 and whoever else that would probably do the same thing, that have modeling and effects. I'm choosing these for the simple reason that they can be had very cheaply, as I've proven, and because they sound darn good to me. Your results may vary. You may not like the sound, but I think they sound great for what they are. So I'm going to pause, plug a couple of things together, and I'm going to show you the reasons why I think everybody should own one of these little things, and why it's, as I said in the clickbaitish title, the most fun you can have. For $50 or less, I thought about having a subtitled, outside of Tijuana, but I thought that might be, Anyway, let me click off and I'll come back. And we're back with the motion cam. Here's my Schecter TSH1, which I'll be using today, through my go-to non-direct rig, which is one of my trusty Ibanez TSA 15H heads. It's my go-to non-modeling amp. That's running into a Jet City 333 112 Eminence loaded cabinet. Here are two of my Fender Mustang 1 amps. Here's today's pedal rig. Got a Horizon pedal tuner, Go-Go tuner, which is my new favorite pedal board tuner. We'll talk more about that in a future episode. A few pedals from JRR Pedals, who I can't recommend highly enough. Look them up either on their website or look them up on reverb.com. They sell basically knockoffs of boutique pedals, and they sound fantastic, and they are very inexpensive. Got the OD 1.3 overdrive, the Janus overdrive distortion. Just for fun, there's a Delta Lab digital delay on here. And the JRR BBD, that's Bucket Brigade chorus, which is a great old school chorus. Anyhow, all I'll be using on this is the drive pedals today, but I just thought I'd show you what I've got on this particular pedal board. And yeah, this is what we're using today. And now onward to some sound samples. Okay, so to start us off with some sounds here. Back in the glory days of the 70s and 80s, guitarists had the luxury of touring with huge rigs. They'd have multiple amplifiers on stage, and if you ever seen any live footage of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, they literally had an island of ridiculous amplifiers all rigged up on stage. But that's not a luxury most of us will ever know. But one thing that a lot of guys used to do back then is, rather than just have effects in line, they would have a second amp with effects on it. Like in the case of Peter Frampton, for instance, live, he not only had his Marshalls and Fenders and whatever else, but he'd have an actual Leslie speaker rotating to get that swirling sound that he would bring in, with a volume pedal or something, as opposed to using, just a floor pedal, to fake a Leslie. He had the real thing on stage. That's a sound I love. So, like, for instance, I've got a nice clean tone here. Let's say I just was playing this. I want to show you the way that we get a nice Leslie tone without killing our bass tone. I've got currently this set up so that I'm running out of the pedal board into a splitter box. You can also use a stereo pedal, a lot of different things you could use. So one side's going to the Ibanez TSA head, the other side is going to one of our Fender Mustangs. I've got this particular Mustang. Now, I should point out that I mostly use one sound, amp sound, on these Mustangs, and that is the 65 twin reverb sound. It's just the one sound that I've found that I really, really enjoy that comes out of these amps. Not surprisingly, you know, the Fender sound would sound great out of one of these Fenders. And I've got a rotary cabinet effect. And now what I'm going to do is bring up the volume of the Mustang amp and bring in the Leslie effect. So there you can hear the effect, but we've still got the actual solid bass tone underneath. So now we can do just one example. And you could do this with any effect. Your reverb, your delay. There are octavers on here, and flangers, phasers. Pretty much every meat and potatoes effect you can think of is offered on these little Mustang amps. So there's another reason why I say these Mustangs are a great thing to have, and a whole lot of fun. So that's use number one. I guess use number two. Use number one would be just use it as it is, as a practice amp. Use number two, use it as an effects amp along with your existing amp and bring it in to have that little extra something without ruining your bass tone. Okay? I'll be back. All right, next up, a way to use two of these sweet little Mustang One amplifiers together. Now, one obvious thing you could do is more or less exactly what I just did using the Ibanez. Just use a pair of these Fenders, one clean and one with effects. But even more interesting than that is blending effects together, not layering them on top of each other, but having them separate, but you hear together as one. What do I mean to say? I mean, for instance, I love this chorus sound that I'm getting. Again, I'm still using the twin reverb sound with this lovely analog chorus. That's a sound that I could grow old with. I love it. It's a dream sound for me. It's wonderful. Now, another sound that I'm very fond of is the sound of a guitar with just the slightest hint of delay, not quite to slap back, but just enough to widen. It's, I guess technically it is close enough to actually be a slap back, but so take those two sounds, blend them together, which you can easily do by adjusting the individual volume levels, or in my case, I'm actually running directly into a little mixer amp and then adjusting the levels. But you can do this a lot of different ways. Now all of a sudden you've got this enormous tone with your chorus and your slapback that would not sound the same if you had those two effects coming in series through pedals, because you're getting all of the chorus sound and all of the slapback sound, and they're coming out together as one thing. And I'd also point out that once you start using two of these little amps, you'd have more than enough volume to keep up with a drummer or to use on stage. Now, convincing a sound man to mic two amplifiers for you could be a chore, but it's a great thing to play around with, and we haven't even scratched the surface of the idea that not only can you blend two different Mustangs together with different effects, there are also 8 different amp models on each. You can blend together one clean Fender and affected Vox. You could have an affected Fender and an affected Marshall. I mean, there's essentially no end to the possible permutations of what you could do here. And it's a whole lot of fun. And I haven't even touched the pedal board yet. This is just using the amps as they are. To me, this is how I could kill an afternoon, as opposed to this, which is how I often do kill my afternoons, which is making content for you. But anyway, so there's number 3, blending a pair of these things together, and number 4, blending them with different amp sounds. So what are we looking at here? These 2 amps, I get $30 a piece for these guys. For $60, I've got a rig loud enough to play on stage with parallel processing going on. What fun, right? Try to have that much fun just by buying a cheap pedal. Like I said, you could waste hours doing this. And there's one more thing, just for the sake of overkill because I can, that I'm going to show you next, and I'll be right back with that. All right, so if you couldn't have guessed, this is me. I'm a firm believer that more is more. And as you probably would have guessed, seeing as I own 3 of these crazy amplifiers, I'm going to run all 3 of them together. I've got my overdrive pedal on. I've got my 2 sounds you heard earlier, my chorused clean, my slight slapback thickening clean, and I've added a delayed amplifier, and I've adjusted the volume of each, and I've got this. You knew I'd have to try it. And in all honesty, I spent several hours yesterday, had a day off, doing exactly this, playing with these 3 amplifiers together. And is this crazy? Is anybody actually going to run out and buy 3 amplifiers like I did? Well, considering you theoretically could buy 3 of these for less than $100, I can't imagine how you could possibly have more fun for around $100 than to have 3 of these little bastards lined up and experiment with different amps, different effects on each, blend them together. How am I blending them together? Just to give you guys a view here. Let me turn down some volume so I don't kill anybody's ears. I am actually using this very inexpensive Behringer headphone amplifier, running my pedal board into the input here, and then running each amp from its own dedicated feed here, which it's not the intended use of this. And you got to be careful because you can easily overdrive them if you go past the center, which is basically unity gain. But it works. There are other ways you could do it, certainly. There's a very expensive three-way splitter box made by Framptone, Peter Frampton's company, that allows you to run 3 amps at once without having any kind of an active signal situation like this. But the point is this. A lot of us will spend a couple of $100 on a pedal or a new amp, something else, trying to find a new way to be inspired, to have fun, whatever it is. I stumbled on what I think is a great way to be able to expand your rig, to have fun, just to have a good handy practice amp on hand, something you can keep in your trunk along with your $200 guitar in case you happen across a jam night or an open mic, or you stop by a party and there are guitars there and you need one. Whatever the case is, my point is this. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better use of a few bucks than one of these Fender Mustang amps. So they get the Guitar Nuts Anonymous seal of approval. Clearly it's something that I'm passionate about. And if you think it's crazy, say so. But I like these. I think I'm going to hold on to them. Will I hold on to all 3? I don't know, maybe. Doesn't cost me anything to keep them. I'm having a great time with it. I'm real interested to see what kind of sounds I could get blending the various amps and effects together, like I did yesterday most of the day. So anyway, enough of this. Hopefully this hasn't bored you. If you're still here after the half hour, whatever, of all this, thanks. Appreciate you, as always. So until next time, I'll just wrap this up. Like, subscribe, comment, all those good things. Stop by and drop a tip. Whatever you like. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. Tell a friend, tell an enemy, go tell it on the mountain. Till next time, have a good Memorial Day, being safe wherever you are. If you're traveling, be safe. If you're with family, be safe. And try to remember the actual spirit of the holiday. It's not just about sales. Although if you want to take advantage of a sale that's there, you might as well. Until next time, stay cool, stay frosty, rock on, chime on, rock out, be good to yourself and others. If you're crying out loud, play the damn guitar. Talk to you soon. Steve out.